All right. Ed Carbajal speaking once again with Abe Alsaghir, the killer, who has been living up to his name since we last spoke in last April. Abe, you finally main event for Lights Out Championship. Was it next weekend, right?
Yes, sir. First of all, thank you for having me on, man. Yes, main event for Lights Out next week on Lights Out 14, January 13th.
Dude, so I mean, as I did my homework on you, I rewatched our last conversation and looking at what you've been doing and stuff we've communicated about since we've last spoken. I mean, the first thing I got to ask you, first of all, when we spoke, you were making your pro debut. Now you're 3-0 and you're main eventing. Like my first question is like, what is it? Is it is there something in the water you're drinking? Like what is driving you to kind of like the pace that you're at is it's crazy because that was only last April.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I really wanted to get one more in December, but there was no shows because of all the holidays.
Wow.
And then Lights Out did a show like beginning of the year, which is no one fights around this time of the year. But I'm very excited. The drive is unreal, man. It's the training, the coaches, the gym where I'm at, and then my age and everything. And it's in the back of my head. I want to be the first Lebanese on the Dana White show, which is uh, it's almost time.
The Contender Series. I hear you, man. Um, what you see? You mentioned your gym. What's the gym you're fighting out of again?
Detroit Jiu Jitsu Academy.
And that would be great to put a new gym on the map versus the ones that have been around. Um, but there's just something. I remember when we first spoke. I'm saving this question for last, but the when we first spoke, we talked about like your long term goals, and this was back in April. You were like 5 years from now. You want to break into the top 10 at the UFC. Has that timeline changed for you?
It's still the same goal. It's still the same goal. 5 years from now, even less. 5 years or less. That's the same goal. Uh, I'm not looking past January 13th. That's my biggest thing. Next weekend,
Hmm.
like I'm not even looking at what am I doing Sunday. It's a main event. Uh, Very tough opponent. Me and my team respect him. Respect what he's bringing to the table. He's fought two UFC guys.
Mm.
So a guy off the Dana White looking for a fight. Uh, I'm ready. I'm ready to go out there and show what I have.
And let's talk about your opponent, Jerome. It's still Jerome Featherstone, right?
Correct.
So, I mean, you said you just mentioned you got a lot of respect for him. I mean, you mentioned some of his accolades. I mean, how do you feel like you match up against somebody like that?
I mean, it is a pretty good matchup. I'm up and coming. He's been around the game for a minute.
Hmm.
Even before MMA, he's done a lot of boxing and a lot of all that stuff. He's a well-rounded fighter, very well-rounded. We'll see how everything goes Saturday night.
Mm. I mean, it's almost you mentioning his experience versus what he's done versus yours. I mean, and that's something I was looking at when I was getting my notes together for this too. Does this count as like a does this fight mean more than the other previous fights? I mean, does it feel like a heavier preparation because of what he's done?
First of all, yes, 100%. And
Hmm.
first main event. Uh, it's everything like a first time for me. Like first main event for my people here. And then what he's bringing to the table, and then what I'm bringing to the table. Everything is like getting put together at the right time.
Mm. And as far as I mean, you mentioned first main event a few times, and it's actually one of my questions too. I mean, obviously, it's got to feel. I know you had an extensive amateur record before you even went pro, but like main eventing on a streaming platform like Spectation Sports, there's going to be a lot of people watching. What's it feel like? How's your team handling it? Are they protecting you from like social media and stuff like that? I know you post a lot of stuff, but like, what's the focus like going into this fight?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. All we're focused on is January 13th. The polls are just
Hmm.
for to sell the tickets and put everything. It's just for the entertainment. I'm not
Hmm.
really focused on that much on social media. I'm focused on January 13th and what I'm gonna do in the cage. Uh, and then that's about it. I can't wait till January 13th is here.
And how do you keep yourself from like over? I don't want to say overtraining because it seems like these days the notches keep getting higher and higher for just to be at the top level. Like how do you check? Is you trust? Is it some trust that you put in your team? How do you check yourself to make sure you stay healthy on fight week?
Oh yes, 100%. It's all trust with the team. Like if they say something, it's yes sir, and that's it. Other than
Hmm.
that, there's no arguments. There's none of that. And the pressure about the main event. I mean, it's just another fight, but it's called a main event. I mean, I've co-main evented the past three.
Yeah.
I've been the co-main event. Bashi was the main event, so Bashi had a lot of eyes on him, and then so I was the co-main event. So whoever's watching the main event was watching me. So that was a lot of
Hmm.
pressure as well. It's basically just another fight.
And is there any? I mean, have you gotten any wind of as far as folks watching you? I mean, because with the short amount of time going 3-0 with all finishes, by the way, folks haven't seen you yet. Um, like what's the vibe you're getting? I mean, you mentioned a contender series and looking for a fight. Is there? Have you caught any wind of anyone else interested, even outside the UFC, with the PFL and the Bellator thing that happened? Like, is there anything that's telling you folks are watching you and looking to call you up?
Oh yes, 100%. We've been getting a lot of looks from here and there, and then
Hmm.
like a lot of calls and everything. But the thing is, we're taking our time. We're not rushing. We like. I'd rather fight here at first, get the experience as much as experience as I can, and
Hmm.
then when the right call comes up, we'll be ready to go.
And as far as I'm not looking ahead of your opponent, I know I hate to ask this, but it's always a question that they make me ask to close out an interview. Prediction for your next fight. What do you see happening on the 14th?
Yeah, I'm ready for a 15-minute war. Whatever Jerome is bringing to the table, I'm gonna match that same energy. I'm ready for a 15-minute war. If the fight is going 15 minutes, then it is going to be a 15-minute war. If I can get a hold of a finish before that, then hats off to me. But I'm ready for the 15 minutes.
And lightweight is still where you want to like. If you break into the UFC or PFL or anything like that, that's the weight class you're sticking with.
Correct, 100%.
All right. Well, before I let you go, if you want to shout out anybody, any sponsors, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Shout out to the coaches, Coach Ali, Coach Anthony, Khalil, and then Tony Kalino for all the work they're putting in this camp. Uh, I'll add one more thing. My brother is actually the first fight on the night on the lights out card, and I'm closing the card. He's making his amateur debut. I'm the main event. So opening card, closing card. The goal by the end of the night is 1-0 as an amateur for him, 4-0 as a pro for me, uh, and that should be it, man.
That's crazy. I mean, because I know they had that Bashi's family on previous cards too, like his cousin or something. So that's pretty cool that they're making like these family fight teams are able to fight on the same night on the same card. That's got to help you, like kind of like coming towards fight night, right? Especially on fight week.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. The vibe at home and everything is better because like me and him are fighting everything.
Hmm.
But it's still the same goal for me, same goal for him, and nothing changes.
What's his name?
Fauzi Alsaghir,
How do you spell the first name?
Fawzi.
Okay. I just want to put it on my radar so that I can follow you guys both. That'd be so cool to see you guys succeed. And
Thank you.
I love watching this you guys grow in the sport. That's one thing. Spectation sports. I mean, if I'm talking about being grateful for something, it's watching all you guys take off on this platform, and you've definitely of all the people I talk to, I want to say you're probably the most active and the most I mean proactive, active and just winningest guy that I've seen in such a short amount of time.
I appreciate you, man. That means a lot. Thank you.
All right, well, good luck to you, and thanks again for making time to talk.
Thank you. Thank you for you and Spectation Sports. Appreciate you.
Take care.
You too.